I'm Cecilia Louie of Paper Zen. In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a MemoryDex box. No chipboard is required. I've made 3 different sizes. They're 4 1/4 inches wide, and this one is 4 1/4 inches long. The medium here is 5 inches, and this one's 6 inches long. And all you need to make all these 3 boxes is just 2 sheets of 8.5 by 11. Now, I've usually seen much longer boxes, and the great thing about making a smaller box like this 4-inch version is that you can fill it up with a specific topic or memory and keep all the same subject in their own little box. And since the page size that we're cutting is 8.5 by 11, you can actually custom print a digital pattern like this instead of like a pre-printed pattern like this or a solid sheet. And if you've never heard of MemoryDex, it was an idea started by Heidi Swapp. It's kind of like Rolodex meets your craft room. And you know, the Rolodex used to index business cards, and now this system is being used to organize notes, reminders, recipes, a gratitude journal, or even a travel diary. Scrapbookers are really enjoying cherishing their everyday moments in this format right now. I'd also like to thank Robin of Bible Journaling Digitally for introducing this box idea to me. I'll leave a link in the notes below in case you'd like to visit her site. Okay, let's get started making our MemoryDex box together. It's really so easy. Now, as I mentioned, there's 3 different lengths, and then you can choose from either a straight edge or a scalloped edge. So really, there's actually 6 options to choose from. Now, after you've cut out your box, you're going to cut out these ends. And it's the same file, doesn't matter, it fits all the 3 boxes, okay? If I'm printing my own pattern onto my cardstock, my printer leaves a white edge on either side. And I'm going to choose to cut the straight edge in a case like this because the scallop edge needs just a little bit more room, so it makes it kind of tight. And I got this digital pattern from Free Pretty Things for You, and I'll leave a link in the notes below this video where you can download this same pattern. And if you happen to notice, I've got some glitter rods here, I've got gold ones here, and you know, this pink stripe with yellow here matching my box perfectly. I actually didn't have the right size straws, so I kind of made my own, and I'll show you how I made that later on in the video. Okay, I've got all the pieces to my 6-inch box cut out, and I've pre-folded all along the score lines. And just a note for the ends, to fold the longest panel here this way, not this way, because when we're done, we're going to be gluing this panel to the end here, and we want the pretty side to be showing, not the white side, okay? So let's start with gluing our box together. I'm going to be using Aleene's Original Tacky Glue. I find it to be nice and thick and dries clear and fast. So I'm just going to apply some glue here and here. And then I'm just going to apply some glue here. And then I'm going to press against the end and press against the end and hold that until it's dry, and of course you can start doing it to the opposite side. Okay, my box is nice and dry, and I'm going to start with one of the ends. So I'm just going to apply some glue along half these panels in between all the holes, and as you can see, I'm applying glue on every other panel here. And press these together. And then I'm going to open it up on this side and apply glue on these panels. And now we've essentially made the thickness of chipboard without having to cut a piece of chipboard. I mean, you can buy it. I just didn't happen to have any in my stash. And I just found that this was an easier way to make similar kind of thickness without having to deal with chipboard itself. Okay, now that we've got this whole panel done, we're going to apply glue. Now, when I'm applying, if you look at the nozzle here, there's actually quite a bit of surface area, and I'm going to use that surface area to, do you see how thinly I can smear that glue on my panel? This is so that I don't get gobs of glue along the edges, so that when I go to press against my opposing surface, it doesn't gush out in between all that. So a little bit goes a long way, and I'm just going to apply just enough. And so I want to have a good adhesion all along that edge, because I just want to have it press up nicely, cleanly against my box edge and fully, so that it's more together. Now the printed pattern that I chose to cut this out of is white core, so you can see this white line, and to diminish that, all I took was a purple ink pad and just inked along that edge, and then you don't see that line, but it just makes a really nice inner finish. Okay, and now we can repeat the same on the opposite side. When I went hunting for straws in my kitchen, I found these really skinny ones, and even though it's kind of close to 1/4 of an inch, it was a little bit small for these kind of cards and the usual size of index cards. And I mean, I could have used it, but I wanted to make sure I had a good grip inside the hole right there. So I decided, and then on top of that, the straws that I had didn't quite match the theme I was going for with these boxes that I chose to print. So I decided instead to make my own straws, customize it to the kind of colors I want. I mean, I could have bought a whole bag of straws, but shipping and all that, forget it. And then I'd have to store it. So instead, I just decided to pick up the color that I see here, this yellow, and I wrapped vinyl around my straw. And then after that, I decided to add this pink as a little spiral, and then now I've got something that matches my project. So let me show you how it's done. And now this box here is going to be the 5-inch, so I've made sure my vinyl is at least going to cover the 5 inches. So I have a little bit extra to snip off if I want to. And depending on the circumference of, or the diameter of your straw and the length of vinyl that you're working with, you're going to be building up the, the new diameter depending on how many times you roll across. So with my straw, I'm using an 8-inch length here. So let me show you how I did that. So I'm working on my work surface here, and I find, when you peel the vinyl away, you can have this little fight with the static cling, kind of like saran wrap. So instead, I put it upside down and let the static go against my work surface, and that way I'm not fighting that static cling. Okay, now that my vinyl is ready on my work surface, I'm going to line up my straw with the end of my vinyl here and just start rolling. And I'm just giving it even pressure all around. It's a little bit bunchy here. You can see it kind of gathering up. It's not a big deal. I mean, even though I tried to make it as perpendicular as I can, you can see how it's just kind of tapered a little bit on one side. It's not a big deal because we have enough length for that. So I'm going to do the same thing with the strip now. Okay, now that the wax is peeled away from the strip, I'm going to lay it on my table at about a 45-degree angle. And again, I'm just going to visualize that this is running perpendicular to where it is 45, and then I'm just going to roll and pick it up at the same time. There we go. So we've got a little bit of excess, not a big deal. And now with a sharp pair of scissors, I can just trim the excess to whatever length I need. So I'm going to wait until I measure the right length that I need, but here's how you can customize your own straw. So I'm just going to show you how I measure the straw to cut. I just, put it to the end of my box, and I just kind of eyeball right to the edge on either side, and then just trim off that excess. And then when you go to insert it, we just tuck it into one end and just kind of push it down into place, and once you do, it's not going to come out. Can I give you guys a little insider tip? This vinyl, I didn't buy this. It's actually from a local sign shop. I happen to know the people who run the sign shop, and they make really, really huge signs. And this piece is just a little offcut that they couldn't use. It doesn't fit in their machines anymore. So they were happy to give this to me because otherwise it just goes to the landfill. So maybe if you contact a local vinyl sign shop in your city, you might be able to get free, offcut pieces that you're saving from the trash. Now that our box is assembled, I'm going to show you some examples of how I plan on using my MemoryDex box. Even though I'm not a scrapbooker and I do like using a digital calendar on my phone, I am kind of old school when it comes to writing things down on a piece of paper. And I do like referencing a perpetual calendar, one that reminds me of someone's birthday every year, so I have time to go shopping ahead of time. So with this index card, I printed this digital pattern in the background, added some balloons, inked these edges, and then I finished it off with some string. And I made this card into a folded card so that I can write some notes about this person's favorite things like flowers, colors, food. So I'm aiming for this to be like a repeat reminder for me every year. So I'm going to be putting it in that month of January so that, when I flip to that part, it just reminds me ahead of time, right? And I've made sure that my dividers for the months are just, a little bit taller than all my cards. After your friends get married, it's kind of nice to reminisce about their special day, call them up to wish them a happy anniversary. So this is simply printed on a pearl finish scrapbook cardstock, and I've just kind of inked some white on red hearts here just to remind me of their special day. Now, what if you're someone who keeps forgetting to change the oil in your car? You can stick this reminder in the month that it's due, and then every time you bring it in, you just move it 6 months to the next reminder, and then when it comes up, you can remember. You can do this for things like the furnace or duct cleaning. I mean, who remembers the last time that stuff got done? Now, even though I keep a great recipe book in electronic format, since we've all been stuck at home, I've been baking a lot of bread, about twice a week. So I know once things go back to normal, I probably won't bake as much. And I just want a quick glance to check the ingredients and baking time in case I forget. And I love how these inked edges really look like toasted bread. The sunny side egg whites, it's actually freehand cut out of coated cardstock, and the egg yolk is just a hole punch on top of it. And then finally I inked those edges also just to make it look like it's crispy edges, just the way I like it. I also really love gardening, and when someone shares their seeds with me, if I don't have a small envelope on hand, I forget the variety name, the special characteristics, so now I've got a space for it all, and I won't lose the seeds or the details. Now, this envelope is a little unusual. I designed it so that this edge here comes up and then back down. And if you can imagine, if I were to have like a regular envelope and hole punch it, the seeds would just fall out of the holes. So this way, because this flap comes up and down, it's sealed and the seeds won't fall out. And then the flap here, it looks like it's glued down, but actually I just used Aleene's Tack It Over and Over glue, and so I can reseal this envelope. And then, every year I actually have to get a head start on my seeds indoors. I'm in zone 7, so I have to get a head start on them. And, for whatever reason, I can never remember when to start them. So actually on the back of my March here, I have put a list of all the seeds of when to start, when I can start them indoors, and if I didn't do that, when I can direct sow them outside. Now I'm going to have all these monthly reminders at my fingertips. So I hope you guys had fun making this MemoryDex box with me, and if you enjoyed this video, I hope you give it a thumbs up so that YouTube will share it with more people. You can also support my channel by leaving me a comment. I'd love to hear what you guys think of this box.